Do it. Do it.
Let's do it.
Do it. Do it. Do it. My sweetie, do it.
Okay.
Do it. Do
Welcome to NBNR, the authority on unfiltered opinions and authentic player insight for Nebraska athletics. Connect with us on Twitter, Instagram, and at NBNRPodcast.com.
We have the saying, no block, no rock.
You know, we just really love Otter. He's a junkyard dog.
Kenny Bell ran up to me. He's like, you know what you just did? You get mad when you go get in the portal and go to another podcast?
You know, usually dumbbells are in pairs. They had 5 dumbbells.
Dang on it, Muhammad!
GBR.
Big red indeed. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
No block, no rock. Season 4, episode 42. Coming at you from we're just going to call it the NBNR Studios. Yes?
Yeah.
We're just keeping it simple. We're not naming it the Mike Delaware Memorial Studio, nothing like that.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Maybe.
Give it a couple years.
That's a little dark. Let's talk, before we get too deep into everything, guys, let's talk about our sponsor, Nebraska Brewing Company. Everybody, hold up what you're drinking. I got myself a Pilsner.
Oh.
Freaking Connor's happy. And, listen, you're not alone, buddy. I'm with you. I had a pickle fight before. I got my pickle fix. And now I moved on to Pilsner. But I'll probably go back to pickle after this.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong.
Telling you.
Connor Kavalak.
You already know. I'm
to
drinking Pilsner.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even, when I saw him hold the can up, I was excited. You know, I'm drinking Pilsner. In fact, you say you're going back to pickle after that.
Yeah, probably.
Mike, if you look down, there's actually another can of Pilsner just sitting there waiting for
there's
me.
a can of Zen right there, actually.
Well, there's that too. There is that too.
Zen.
But there is a can of Pilsner down there too. I was just really excited. I just didn't want to have to get up for a break. So yeah, Pilsner for me. Beer we make. Best beer NBC makes.
That's not true. That's not true.
Mike, tell them the best beer that NBC makes.
So I drank the last one we had in the fridge, but
Already?
it is the EOS Hefeweizen.
Hey,
it's gone.
Yeah.
We got through those pretty quick when we were setting up the studio. But no, I'm drinking the Ale Storm. It's a beer brewed specifically for the Omaha Storm Chasers, the AAA affiliate to my favorite baseball team, the Kansas City Royals, who are actually halfway decent this year.
Halfway decent.
What is that? The Indians, right?
That hurts a bit.
Sorry, the Guardians.
That hurts a bit.
Yeah,
I just call them the Cleveland baseball team.
That's easier.
They're the Cleveland baseball team.
They're the Guardians of the Central Division, Mike.
They are.
Yeah, they are.
There you go.
Gosh.
That is true.
Their name means something.
Did you know Jose Ramirez is better than Barry Bonds?
Yeah, he's good.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, better than Barry Bonds.
He's playing better.
Yeah. We just talked about Barry Bonds yesterday.
We did. And John Dowd.
John Dowd.
You know who John Dowd is.
Do you remember? Well, who doesn't? I mean, yeah.
It's
I think
funny.
he has a mustache.
Jared, it's funny. You were
Looks
talking
just like him.
You were talking about Barry Bonds yesterday, and today I see you wearing a Mark McGuire shirt. I'm sensing a theme.
I like my players juiced.
Yeah, I get it.
I love
The cream or the clear?
Hey,
Yeah.
well,
I didn't know it was illegal.
listen, if you want to get technical, if you want to get technical about it, we could get into a whole thing here. But he was using things that you could buy at freaking GNC.
That's true.
So just lay off Mark McGuire, put him in the hall, and put Pete Rose in the hall.
Big facts.
Put Barry Bonds in the hall.
I am
Barry in the
I'm with
hall.
you on that.
I bet someday Pete will get in.
He will.
Yeah.
As we legalize gambling, come on.
Yeah, come on now.
I saw a picture of Great American Ballpark with the Pete Rose statue when he's doing the dive.
Yeah.
And literally 2 feet away was like a fucking MGM, bet
FanDuel.
MGM.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Beautiful. Just so poetic. I love it.
Yep. We've come full circle on it.
Do we jump over to KB?
I would appreciate, just
Which
getting
you-
jumped over here in the Nebraska Brewing Company corner for the producer over here.
Yeah. Shout out Nebraska Brewing Company.
All right, so I'm drinking Squeeze the Day. It's hot outside, and it's also hot in our little back room here in our studio. So we've been here like setting up all the gear and stuff, like finalizing things for our first guest in the new studio.
Yeah, we did this all for Nick. So
Yeah, exactly.
You guys shouldn't have.
All
This is
for
exciting.
you.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
Nick Handley.
Taco Vesa. It's the first real warm, kind of muggy day
Yes.
in Nebraska. Just felt like a Taco Vesa.
And just a nasty day.
We don't have limes for you here, but we'll
It's
get
cool.
there.
See, that's the beauty about Taco Vesa. You don't need it. You
Yeah.
just
Right.
don't need it.
it's like I was
It's good
considered
as is.
Taco Vesa is like any Mexican beer without the skunk. You know, like when you drink a
Exactly.
Mexican beer, it's
Right.
skunky.
Right.
Taco Vesa is not.
Hot take. Love the skunk.
Hey, you know
Isn't
what?
that
You're a weirdo.
Huge
But
skunk
that's
guy.
like a niche thing. I don't know. Like if you like Heineken, it's skunky.
I'm a niche guy.
Yeah, I get it.
I guess. I like skunk.
that's your guys' MO though. You guys
Yeah.
are all very.
I mean,
hip, niche,
your no
very-
boy,
yeah.
your no boy loves skunky beer.
Hey, you know what?
You're
On that topic,
Can we just get to that right now?
No, stop
All right,
that. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Do we have time for this?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So Coach Benod, our good
Coach
pal,
BA.
Coach BA, he says, I bet Nick Hanley's a big trough guy.
Oh, we have to.
That's
Yeah.
true.
You are a trough
do you
guy?
like
Oh,
trough?
troughs are great.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. There's a little story. If we have time, we can circle back. Ask me about a trough in Columbus at Egg Park.
No,
we got time now.
Okay.
What happened to the trough in Columbus?
Former heavyweight champion, boxing champion, who, if you know, in Columbus, Leon Spinks used to live in Columbus.
yeah. Leon Spinks.
Let's say he was having a good time at the track, and he fell in.
Oh
to
no.
a trough.
Yeah,
That's
And-
incredible.
And he had to be helped, and this happened when we were there.
How long was he laid inside the trough?
Oh,
before
it
he was
wasn't
helped
very long because when Leon Spinks was around, no matter what, you knew where he was. You were always in awe of him.
Yes.
And a lot of times, the guy liked to have some fun. And when that happened, it was a matter of seconds where everyone was picking him up. Like, you
Like,
good?
oh my God, Leon.
And he was back. He beat the 8 count. It's a standing count. It was great. It was great. But yeah, that's like my most recent trough memory that's just seared into my brain.
Recent.
I mean, it was like 10 years ago, but still,
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty, you know, other than that, I mean, every time I go to a trough, it never measures up to that. I'm just waiting for there's somebody around.
Yeah. Big trough guy though.
Is there at least a middleweight champion somewhere?
Is there anyone I can help out of this trough?
Yeah,
I'm just trying to help somebody.
Yeah, I mean, your head should never be on a swivel in a trough, but that one taught me it's good to help out your fellow man. So it's you understand the position I'm in there. It's confusing.
So did you hop in to pick him up?
I was helping you.
You were.
Yeah,
You got right in that trough.
You were able to pull the pants back up first, though, right?
I did not handle the
business.
the
Yeah, okay,
leg wear. I did not handle that. I had a couple people that made references about it. I'm like, that's cool. That's your experience, wasn't mine.
I meant your pants.
Oh, my pants.
Yeah, I meant
anybody's
your
pants.
pants.
So I
didn't expect you to pull
wasn't
his
going
up.
yet. I wasn't going yet. I was in
nice.
line.
Just
And then
walking up.
I jumped into action because he looked like a man that needed help, even though we all knew who he was.
Yeah.
He was in line waiting.
He was waiting.
Oh, doesn't that kind of defeat the whole purpose of a trough, though?
Well,
Aren't you? Isn't that supposed to reduce the line? Because you
it was,
just
it was $5 pitcher night on a Friday.
Oh,
night.
baby.
Yeah, live horse racing. Okay,
Jared,
so
Okay.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
What you're saying is we need bigger troughs.
bigger troughs,
yeah,
more
bigger,
troughs.
bigger troughs, more modern troughs. Let's get away from what the old cast iron
Oh,
tubs.
okay. That's a discussion.
Let's go with more the modern,
Like stainless steel.
yeah, stainless steel. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a little
Oh.
bougie. It's a trough, but it's kind of bougie, so it looks more modern. So
Yeah.
if everyone thinks the trough has a real negative connotation of, or just icky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I say that? Icky. That sounds
Icky.
weird.
I like icky.
But
I
if
use that with
if
my
you get
my
this-
kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, you know,
Everybody know if you say icky, people know what that means.
stainless steel. It's like
Stainless steel.
all
Dude, I
right.
could pee on stainless
Yeah.
steel all day. I won't
This is
even
classy.
miss.
Yes, this is classy.
I feel like this is how Jeff Bezos pees.
Jeff
The-
Bezos
the
definitely
Warren-
has a trough in his basement.
The Warren Buffett stainless steel trough.
I bet he's got a trough there too.
I'm
Yeah,
sure he
He's got a
does.
trough at his home in Dundee.
Jared needs walls.
Oh, you do?
Big wall guy.
Big wall guy.
I need some privacy. Is that okay? Is that
mean-
too much to ask?
That's your journey.
That's your
That's my
journey.
journey.
That's your journey. It's fine.
I'm not apologizing for that. Build that wall Make $18.90 pay for it. I said it yesterday.
I can't.
I'm just saying.
They'll pay for it.
I need privacy.
We're gonna make shirts, and then it's gonna say trough guy and urinal boy, and you have
Okay.
to pick a side.
Yep.
Are you a trough guy or urinal boy?
I think trough man.
No,
Urinal boy.
no, trough guy, urinal boy.
So do you just get the stage fright?
That's what I.
Yeah, you're a shy peer, aren't you?
Go, describe
I am.
why.
Yeah.
Describe why you don't like the trough.
Well, it's complicated.
It always
I'm
is.
a complicated guy.
It always
You're a
is.
grown man. It can't be that small.
No, I think, Jesus Christ.
You do you hear fake voices, but that you think everybody that's waiting in line is staring at you?
I just see everybody look down.
Yeah, listen, like even
It's like a horror movie.
Have you ever yelled at someone next to you and they didn't even say anything because you
Yeah.
just assumed they were,
yeah, like
they were
even
talking?
even dancing, like going to weddings and stuff, dancing. I don't dance because I feel like everybody's looking at me and I'm
Yeah.
embarrassing myself. It's the exact same thing in the bathroom.
I get
and then you get like the 8-year-old that walks up next to you and you're eye level, and it's just like, get away from me. This should not be happening.
I'm not trying to be the subject of some 6-year-old kid's freaking nightmares because he looks over and he sees
like-
my little red guy. I'm sorry. You asked me
There's a
why.
little red on the sideline and a little red in the
You
bathroom.
put a lot of thought into this.
I get in my own head sometimes, Nick Handley.
Apparently you do.
That's part of the reason why I do this podcast, because I get in my own head and I just got to release the
Yell.
demons.
It's a good outlet.
That's why I'm very animated. These guys hate it when I move my arms when I talk, because I have demons inside of me I need to let out.
You're literally grabbing these new boom arms, and you're just like dancing. With
I'm
it.
testing how effective they are for my horse shit.
How are they? Are they pretty good?
They're holding up.
Hey, Jared, this is cheaper than therapy. So
It is.
you're doing
Yeah.
great.
I'm getting somewhat paid for it. Somewhat.
Yeah.
Somewhat. And it's group therapy too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even though
A lot
I
of
get,
different perspectives.
yes.
That's always a good thing.
Yes, it's my journey, like you said.
So, anyways, if you're listening live right
Anyway.
now on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever we're at, YouTube, put in the chat. Are you a trough guy or a urinal boy? You put it in the chat.
Hey.
We'll get to that later.
Hey, speaking of Nebraska Brewing Company, world class.
In every glass.
That's
Okay.
quite the Nebraska Brewing Company segment. We got into troughs. Hey, do you think Paul? I proposed this yesterday, and you guys obviously weren't listening. I think Paul should remove the stall and the urinal and do one big trough,
A stainless steel one.
stainless steel.
Well,
Yeah.
There's not enough room.
what are people going to shit in the trough?
Well,
Huh, Mike, this is a
I mean,
question. I think people might shit in the trough.
it can get confusing.
Yeah.
It
I think
can-
you have a
you
very
remove
large
the
stall.
You have a
Like,
large stall. You could make that smaller.
I'd consider.
Okay.
I'd consider.
Hey,
I'm not going to, but I'd
I
consider.
told Mike yesterday, I go, hey, how long has Paul Kavalak been running that business?
Since 2007.
November 07. yeah.
Much longer than Mike's run a damn business. So he knows. Stick to walls. Stick
I
to
don't think there's
walls.
a wall. There's a wall. Yeah.
Be a really
Of course
small
there's a-
trough.
Paul says we can do a group pee in the floor drains.
Jesus.
Did he actually
Paul,
say that? Hey,
Yeah.
Paul,
In the
put it in the
production
chat.
facility?
What are we
my
doing
gosh.
here?
Hey,
I had my wedding reception there.
yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
I'm calling the authorities on NBC.
We hadn't peed in that drain for like 24 or 48 hours before your reception. Don't
Okay,
worry.
good. All right.
Yeah. We hosted.
I was wondering what the flies were doing there, but that's
KB.
all making sense.
KB, the question is, has the viewership just
No, we're still growing.
Oh, okay.
Everything
Yeah.
looks good.
people like the piss talk?
Well, I feel like, yeah, we struck a chord.
People are passionate about their pee,
Yes, they are.
I guess.
Is it okay? Can we talk Husker sports now?
I
Can we-
guess.
Mike is a big die on the hill of this topic. This is his baby.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure we spend enough time on
Yeah, no,
it.
it's-
I don't want to move on too
Dude, I
quick.
didn't even want to bring it up.
I'm with Mike.
I didn't want to bring it up.
We're
but
trough guys.
Troughs are fine.
Ben
Yeah, troughs are fine.
Odd was all about it, and like you're kind of surrounded like with majority rules of trough guys.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's often the most brilliant people that are surrounded by the dinguses.
Mm.
Yeah,
Right? Right, Kyle?
that's how I see
Kyle?
it. That's how I see it.
Boom.
Yeah, you're no boys over
That's
there.
So we
right.
got 3-2.
Unite.
I'm a snowflake. I'm a
Majority
lamb. I'm
rules.
soft. I'm SAWFT. I need walls. Okay? I'm not afraid to admit it. You guys are all manly
That's
men
good,
with
though.
all
I mean-
your shoulder to shoulder piss.
Talk about the
Scarring little kids.
Sometimes a trough conversation, if there is a conversation, I like to be silent. I just like to stick to the business. But
Mm.
sometimes the conversation, especially if it's at a halftime, it can get a little
Yeah, halftime I can see
Well,
that.
agitated.
I think like I'm not a fan of icebreakers.
No,
Like, just
I
in
don't. I don't
any-
do it.
But I think at the trough, it's so easy because I always love
here we
just
go.
like the second I start
Here we
peeing
go.
is looking at the guy next to me and saying, "Water's cold today, huh?" And
Stupid.
sometimes you get a laugh
I like that. I like that actually.
Yeah, and
That would be the only time that I would at least make some type of reaction to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes you get a laugh, and sometimes you get the guy staring at you like,
Yeah.
I feel like
say to me.
Do not talk to me.
I feel like you
Which
either
I
get
get
the
too.
you either get the sly, like chuckle, or you just get the dude who's just having none of it and knocks your lights out.
Yeah, I expect to walk out to like restraining order papers.
Yeah.
Or they don't even stare at you. They just pretend you were talking to the other guy.
Yeah.
They're just like, he's not talking to me.
He's like, dude, we're losing to Northwestern. Shut the fuck up.
Exactly.
Not the time.
You're breaking trough protocol.
If you have to bring up the damn swing pass one more damn. I just don't want to go there right now. I got a job to do. People are waiting.
Yeah. Did you see that quarterback fumble? Oh my God. Yeah. Which one?
Why can't we snap the ball? But that's all over.
Yeah. I mean,
That's old news.
it is.
We're better now.
Okay.
It's a
We're
new
better
era.
now. We're
So
better now.
yeah, okay, considering Nebraska baseball season ended yesterday, and I think I'm speaking for myself here. You win 40 games, you go to a regional as a 2 seed, you play a team who is technically better than you, and you lose, and at least you win a game in the regional.
Mhm.
You win a Big Ten tourney title. Successful year. I mean, I don't think there's really any other way to chalk it up. But I do want to look ahead, Nick Handley, to next year. When you look at this team, what do you think Coach Bolt, Childress, maybe Sirianni, Harvell,
Maybe.
what do they need to add? What are some points of weakness for this team that they need to address for next year? What do you think?
This is going to sound like the most easy and basic, I'll stop short of cliche, but bear with me here. The balance with the entire staff on the mound. And my whole problem this year with this team, and it showed up against a team like Florida, that when you look at going up against an SEC team that barely made it into the tournament, it's a team that their struggles are against SEC teams.
Right.
Nebraska's struggles were against some weaker midweek teams. But the thing I really liked about this team this year is even on a bad Sunday, they would still be able to kind of ham and egg it and find a sweep here and there. So a lot of people that I don't think follow college baseball as much as I think everybody in this room does, especially with Nebraska, is you look at the seed, you look at Florida's record, and you're like, well,
500 baseball team.
yeah,
right?
Nebraska should win this game. They're
Yeah.
the favorite right now. And if you looked at Nebraska when it came to chasing runs, especially early, it was a big struggle. So there's a big part of me that wants to say they have to build on the offense. And you weren't going to replace a Bryce Matthews and a Max Anderson with just 2 guys. That wasn't going to happen. But I go back to the pitching of it. And there's a lot of comparisons to the 21 team. And that team, the thing I did like about it is whether we were talking about Cade Povich or even Chance Roach, you looked at guys like Emmett Olson, Jake Buns out of the bullpen, and you had a legitimate lockdown closer in Spencer Schwellenbach. Those roles from your rotation and remember, they didn't play weekday games, so you didn't have to worry about a 4th guy. You didn't have any confusion on who was going to get the ball to get the 8th or the 9th, who was going to be your lockdown closer. At certain points, we saw Rand Sanders, we saw Jalen Worley, we saw Casey Dice. And I'm sure all of their roles were communicated with Rob Childress and with Will Bolt. I'm not saying that these guys didn't know, but I think that uncertainty with what they overall wanted to do and how they wanted to do it, not having the luxury of the lockdown closer, not having the luxury of, okay, this is your setup guy. And remember, guys, until Mason McConaughey really jumped on the scene, other than Sears, you didn't really know who your Saturday and Sunday guy was. And then you had Sears and McConaughey, and then the Sunday thing was kind of a revolving door. So I look back at the balance, establishing the 3. Having McConaughey back is huge. You build around him. But if I'm looking at Rob Childress, who recruits so well, who knows how to teach so well, this coaching staff, they do recruit very well, especially with the in-state guys. But if you notice, they're going heavy JC and not as much into the portal. And a lot of those JC guys have hit. I would love to see the guys that you're going to be able to establish. You look at them and say, yep, there's our middle relief guy, there's our setup, and here's our lockdown closer. We're not doing the 3-man revolving closer. And I get it. Sometimes that's just the hand you're dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you have that from your start to your middle relief, possibly set up into your closer, it cures a lot of your ills from what you saw this year.
So Mike and I, we kind of had this discussion yesterday. You know, we looked at the 21 team, and then there were a couple down years. And so you come off this year where you win 40-plus games or 40 games, and you ask yourself, okay, is this something that they can build on? And Mike was like, well, do you see this being a stepping stone of sorts? And I did mention that thing that you just said, the focus on getting junior college guys.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, my justification personally was like, when you get JC guys, these are dudes who they toil away in the shit because they love the game.
Absolutely.
You know, they've been through stuff, you know, either academically or personally, whatever,
yeah.
But they're still playing the game because they love it.
Yep.
And of course, you look at Bolt, and what he's always preaching is being the toughest team in the country. And gosh, you know, you saw that winning streak during the tournament. It's like, that's, you know, you win 5 in a row. That doesn't happen very often.
Right. In those circumstances.
Yeah. And so coming off the 15-2, it's like, damn, okay, this team is kind of like contradictory to all the other Husker men's sports teams that we have come to know and love, or not love so much, just because they were dealt a shit hand in game 1, and then they just overcome and they win and win and win. So I guess my question to you is, do you see this season as a stepping stone, maybe hosting a regional next year? Like, what are you thinking with that?
I think that's where you got to be. So think about all the things that this program wants to accomplish right now. Facilities, whether we're talking internal or external. If you go to Haymarket Park, it looks great on TV, but you guys have been there. It's dated.
Yeah.
It's fine.
We don't have Traeger grills in our outfield.
Right. I mean, where's our hog pit? You know, look at O'Brate Stadium. That thing was gorgeous, other than the fact it's a launching pad. But so is Haymarket. It's not like Haymarket Park is. It's like how TD Ameritrade Park was back when it was TD Ameritrade Park. We had to talk about bringing the outfield walls in.
Yeah.
But in order to get those accomplished, in order to get the internal things like the pitching labs and a lot of those different things, you got to have a season like this, and you got to be able to show that, hey, we can capitalize on it. 21's a great example, guys, because we all curse Purdue up and down, but Will Bolt said the best thing after that. We should never have been in that position to where we had to worry about Purdue putting a tarp on or not at the end of the regular season, that we could be the 8th team into our conference tournament. I mean, that's what people were getting pissed off about with Purdue. Like, fuck Purdue for doing that. It's like, okay, let's look at the bigger picture. If you're scratching and clawing to get in to the Big Ten tournament as the 8th seed, how good of a season was it?
You put yourself
Do you
there.
really deserve that?
Yeah.
And so you don't follow 21 up, which was a fun team. I mean, they pushed Arkansas to the brink. I mean, that was the overall #1 seed. And then last year, you don't get the NCAA tournament. So you look at these types of moments with a Big Ten that's expanded, Oregon, with what they're going to bring. The other 3 teams have history. I'm not saying the Big Ten baseball reputation is going to all of a sudden take a huge boost, but you do got some teams that can play. And we'll see if that continues to set the tone around the conference as far as what people are doing with their facilities. How serious are they taking baseball? From the Nebraska standpoint, you've got to follow this up. At the very least, you got to be in the NCAA tournament. But I think for this program to take that step forward, and now we've seen it twice, because 21, going into the spring game weekend, they were playing Rutgers at home. Remember, going into that weekend at home, they were in D1Baseball.com's, I think maybe the second to last or the last team to host. They get swept by Rutgers. Now they bounce back and they win the regular season. This year, there was host conversation about this team. So the schedule, the way they play it, if they can just get past the midweek, not have stumbles against teams like South Dakota State or just the Summit League period.
Creighton.
Or Creighton. Yeah. Or Creighton. Yeah. Which, who the hell knows what type of team. do they have anybody on the roster right now? I mean, they're all hitting the portal right now.
Doesn't matter.
Might see some of those guys in Lincoln, actually.
Yeah.
But that's the Creighton part of it too. There's so much of what Nebraska has on the doorstep there. It's not the way they schedule, because I think they're in a good position to do that. I think hosting has to be right there on the top priorities of what they need to do to take this thing a step forward, because I think they've got the coaching staff to do it. I think they've got the conference, even though it's not as strong, they've shown you can be a part of that. You can be a part of that conversation. And then if you get into a situation where that RPI is close with another team, this is where Lincoln pays off. This is where the fan support pay off, and people start thinking, hey, NCAA committee starts thinking, hey, we have a regional out in Lincoln. It's been a while. You know how that is going to go.
Mm-hmm.
You start getting the benefit of the doubt there.
I know. So Nebraska baseball is in such a weird position, okay? Because I feel like during the midweeks, you got one of the Dakota schools that just knocked the piss out of you, right? And then there was a lot of fire Wilbolt talk this year. And look,
Stupid.
here's where I'm at.
It is stupid.
Here's where I'm at. As a fan base, we care a lot about baseball. And where I'm at is I don't think there's enough investment. I was looking, and I think Nebraska is like 51st in the amount of dollars that they
Generate.
No, that they invest.
Put in seventh in the conference.
Seventh in the conference.
In the Big Ten.
Yep.
And so I'm like, okay, you want to fire Will Bolt? You need to be knocking down Warren Buffett's doors and these other guys that
You
don't.
and Warren, man.
I fucking hate Warren.
You and Warren.
But he
Leave
gives
him
to charity.
alone.
Wow.
No, I just
Bold
don't.
take.
Listen, they don't invest enough money for you to be like, fire Will Bolt after, they go to a regional and they win a game. Like, we need to invest more money in this thing. I'm a huge, and look, it's a little hyperbolic, but I want to put a freaking roof over Haymarket. And because, listen, the SEC, look, they're all in, man. And it feels like we have this conversation like every other year, like, oh my gosh, Nebraseball gives us hope. But they were a step short because the SEC teams are too good. And it's like, we keep having this conversation. So like, I just feel like we're stagnant.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, what the conversation is like, what do you have to do to catch up to the SEC? If one of the worst teams in the SEC, or I guess like, we talk about pitching, one of the worst pitching staffs in the SEC, how do they just come out and they sweep Nebraska in the regionals? Like, how do you catch up to the SEC? Because that seems to be the conversation.
So I've got a really convoluted way to do this.
Oh boy.
I love convoluted Connor. Hit it, baby.
Yeah, conspiracy Connor, kind of. I think we invest in fossil fuels really heavily and speed up climate change, and we make it a hell of a lot warmer in Nebraska.
I thought you were going to go the T. Boone Pickens route. Like we need an oil tycoon that's going to just put dollars into.
We can do both. Yeah, we can do both.
We got Buffett.
But I mean, frankly, like when we look at the SEC and we look at the disparity, they're able to practice outside year round,
all year round,
essentially.
Yep.
We can't do that, and so. Jared, I get your argument of like put a roof over Haymarket.
Telling you.
I will tell you right now, it's never going to happen.
I know that because we take half measures all the goddamn time.
If we're doing that for anything, we should be putting a roof over Memorial. And I know Mike is going to be pissy about that.
We'll have a conversation about that later.
Yeah. But again, like
I'm with you on that too, by the way.
We're just not in a position to be doing that. I mean, we have schools from North. I mean, hell, we played on today's Monday. I got to count. On Saturday, we played Niagara. Like that is a team that was the highest density of Canadians of any D1 roster in the country.
Right.
These guys aren't used to the warmth. They're still playing. I mean, they got beat. They went 0-2. But they're still there. But these guys from the South, you look at what did Florida end the regular season at? 27 wins? Is that right?
They were like 27 and 20, 28 and 27, something like that.
Yeah, game about 500.
Yeah. They had really high quality wins and really high quality losses. And it's because the teams that they're playing in that SEC are practicing in that weather all year round. Like it's going to be very tough to compete against these SEC teams because we just simply don't have the same climate.
Well,
like that's a very large.
I hate that mindset.
I would say
not wrong.
You're not wrong about like they can practice more. It's sunny all the time, but like on the flip side, it's about about recruiting too.
Yeah,
like
big time.
Like you're not recruiting guys that aren't used to playing in that weather. Like the guys that are coming in here, they have the same opportunities. We could recruit kids from Florida who played baseball year round their whole life. We could do that. You could add a dome to Haymarket. It doesn't change the fact that we're just not getting the same talent that Florida and the SEC schools are getting, because you can literally just throw a dart and you're going to land a good player in the South compared to here, where population is a little bit different. Opportunities are a little bit less, we'll say.
I think that can boil down to, and this isn't necessarily Big Ten specific, but I would say more Nebraska specific, in recruiting in SEC territory, is coming down to really two words: tradition, where the SEC traditionally just beats the shit out of everybody. And comfort. Like if I'm from SEC country and I know that I can go play in the SEC, I can be close to home, and I'm going to be at a winning program, why the hell would I consider a school like Nebraska?
You're absolutely right.
Right.
This is the argument that I get into with a lot of people who still think of Nebraska as a Big 12 school when it comes to recruiting baseball, because that was an easy sell. Not only is Nebraska one of the top teams in the Big 12, and you're playing at Haymarket Park, at the time was still a newer ballpark, but you're working your way down south when you play. You're playing in great ballparks in Waco and in Stillwater and Norman, all those Big 12 teams that take major investment into baseball. You go to those facilities alone and you're like, okay, this is how it's supposed to be. And you're now selling not only Nebraska, which this is why I say I think this coaching staff, and I'll even go back to Darren. Darren had some misses, but he's still a lot of the majority of the better talent. Sans Alec Bohm. A lot of the better talent was usually Nebraska's on the radar. They're recruiting them hard. And at some point it comes down to, okay, a guy is choosing between Texas A&M and Nebraska. Well, let's look at this.
Vanderbilt in Nebraska.
Right.
Okie State, Nebraska.
Right. Do I want to play and do I want to wait around and look at the AccuWeather for the real field to get above 31 degrees in April? Or do I want to go down and play in Knoxville, Tennessee? Or do I want to go down and play at Alex Bach Stadium on a weekend series? At some point, that stuff matters. And that's why I think a lot of people, when you look at some of those recruiting misses when it comes to in-state guys, I mean, look at some of the guys that they're missing. You got one kid out of Norris and Fountain. He's going to LSU.
Right.
Okay. You've got one of the best players in all the state in Lewis. He's either getting drafted or he's going to Arkansas. Millard South had the Kojal kid. He goes to Vanderbilt. Okay. So when people say, well, how the hell did that kid leave? Look where he went. And so this was a conversation I was having earlier with Gary about this. He brought up a great point. And at some point you have to, if you're Nebraska, you have to build that baseball brand that you don't think of Nebraska as a Big Ten team. You think of Nebraska as a Midwest winner, not as a Big Ten team. Because when you can sell the program on just what you do, it doesn't really matter what conference we play in, because when it comes down to end of May, we're going to be in the NCAA tournament and we're most likely going to be hosting. When you can build that, that's why I think this year is very important. When you can build that reputation, how many people, even though it's a decent baseball conference, how many people know Coastal Carolina is? And they're the Sun Belt. But you think of Coastal Carolina as just Coastal Carolina. They're a winner.
Yep.
And so if you can put yourself beyond the conference, unless Oregon, USC, and UCLA and Washington give you a boost, if you can recruit beyond the conference, that's when you have something going there.
I think just part of, and look, it's kind of a chicken or the egg thing with Nebraska baseball is, do you invest a shit ton of money first and then the winning comes? Or do you have to win first and then you get to earn the retractable roof and all this other shit? Because I just feel like Nebraska, they need to do something that's like kind of drastic, because I feel like they need to stand out. So they're not just a Big Ten school. I feel like they need to do something that is kind of next level and show like the rest of the Big Ten, like, yeah, you know, our fans give a shit, but so do we as like an administration. We will give money. We will invest in Haymarket. We will do all this stuff that we saw at O'Brate. I feel like they need to do something to separate themselves, to rise above the pack, the rest of the shit in the Big Ten.
And maybe it's NIL, like with
investment,
NIL moving in-house, they'll be able to control the funds. It's not going to be handled by third-party collectives anymore. It's going to be handled by the university. So you'll really be able to tell how much they want to invest in baseball, because baseball scholarships are kind of weird. They always happen. They're very weird. And compared to football, especially, they're really weird.
Yeah.
But if you have NIL, and you got Buffett money, I'm just saying like that changes the game a little bit. And I think the future of NIL could really determine how serious we're going to take baseball.
I don't want to go chicken and the egg again, but I'll tell you the one thing that Nebraska can really do to separate itself.
Oh boy.
Win.
I know.
Win.
But it's like
stop losing to Creighton.
So on the
Stop-
Sure.
and Connor, you're right on the baseball field. So the question you asked, Jared, is do you go all in before you actually have the body of work of consistent winning seasons? And I think you always have to start with football. Football, no matter what, whether they're losing 4 games a year, they're always going to put that top priority, and they should. I mean, it's the biggest revenue.
What about 8 games a year?
Yeah.
That was,
Losing
is this an early June prediction? This is great.
No, I said losing 8.
Oh, losing 8.
You said losing 4.
Okay.
I said
Okay.
losing 8.
Hell, I would kill to lose 4.
Oh, did I say lose? I meant win.
Yeah.
But you're always going to get that regardless of how the season's going. And especially if it gets really bad. Hey, we got to step up the facilities. We got to step up the fan experience. We got to make sure that they stay engaged because this is our moneymaker. This is the doorstep of the entire university. We have to take care of that. I think basketball also will get a little bit of that type of treatment. I think for baseball, I think for the ball bat sports, period. The Olympic sports, I think you're going to have to show reason to go all in on facilities externally and internally. So I do think for baseball, you get a little bit of cash out of that, but it's not a huge priority based on the other ones you have to take care of. I think you do have to win. I think
Sure.
Connor, it's not that. I mean, you said it's oversimplified, but I think that's the reality of it.
I just look at a program like Michigan and Indiana. They both made CWS appearances within the past 10 years.
Mhm.
Do we look at them as winning programs?
No.
As baseball programs?
If you're asking me, no.
Because I don't know. They won. So if Nebraska makes a CWS appearance in the next couple of years, it's like, are we a winner now? It's like I don't view them as that because there's just so many other things about this program that's not like you might win one year, but then the next it's like we're gonna barely make our Big Ten conference tournament even.
I think
I don't know.
baseball is weird. To be considered a winner, I don't think it's enough to have 1, 2, or even maybe 3 good seasons. You have to be consistently making the tournament.
Right.
You have to be relatively consistently, at least in a discussion to host.
Or make a regional. I think that's
Yeah.
bare minimum. Moving forward,
No,
it's
exactly.
yeah.
Like you,
down
you
here.
have,
Make a
you
regional,
have to be able
right.
to make regionals
Yes.
fairly consistently, be in a discussion to host,
Mhm.
and then every few years you better be in a super. That's when I'll start considering you a winner. Making it in that final 8 to Omaha, sure, is great, but doing it once is nothing.
Yeah.
It's cool, but
Because
we've seen flukes before.
They had that fluky year, but we don't view them as baseball schools. That's kind of what I'm saying is
Yeah.
in order for us to be above that, we need to do something that's kind of crazy.
Well, and this is going to sound crazy. I
like crazy.
I would trade. You mentioned Indiana and Michigan.
Mhm.
I would trade their CWS appearance, and I'd be curious if they're diehard baseball fans.
They're not.
If they have them,
They're not.
Right? They're not. I mean,
They're not.
Kyle Schwarber was cool.
I'm
it
sure
was.
they exist.
if they say they got to the super regional, but they didn't make the CWS, they were there in the last game of the super regional, right there. You're 9 innings away, and it didn't happen. But then you're back in a super, or you're hosting next year, and then the following year you're hosting a regional, and that becomes the staple of where you bring up that floor, where the floor of your program is, like you just said, Mike. At the very least, you're in a regional.
Yes.
If you're not hosting, you're in it.
Mhm.
When that's a down year, and then on your solid years, you're hosting and you're finding yourself in a super. If you make it to Omaha, great. And especially here because it'd be the biggest home field advantage. But you guys know it's hard to get to Omaha.
It's so hard.
It is very hard to get to Omaha.
Insanely hard.
So I don't like measuring, hey, how many College World Series appearances you have. It was great when Nebraska had that going in the early 2000s. But if you can just be a consistent regional host, or at the very least, you're in a regional, to me, that's success. That's where the program needs to be. And now with the change of the conference too, I think that's a big stepping. So that's why I think 25 is a huge year for this program. If they're to get the things that they want to get, and if they want to establish themselves, especially with this now expanding Big Ten that has teams that are very interesting, especially Oregon, that are very interesting, that could at least give your profile, your conference profile, a little bit of an uptick.
Yeah. Help your RP out a little bit. You know what I mean?
Well, that's definitely not going to hurt the RPI when you're playing those West Coast teams that can play all year round too.
Yes, they can.
Yeah.
Yes, they can.
All right. Real quick, I think we need some refills on beers.
Yeah,
So I'm just going to take a quick break, and we will be right back with you.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Sounds
Kyle.
good. Thanks, Kyle.
And thank you, Troy. Me and Nick Handley, we got our pickle fights here.
Yeah.
Fresh, crisp. You love it, don't
It's
you?
good. This is really good. This is my first time.
Telling you, people
amazing.
think I'm nuts.
First time taking a pickle and he likes it.
Okay.
Wait, who are we
Listen.
talking about now?
Like we said before, having a pickle fight at the trough.
I know. We were talking about the trough and
Yeah.
the official beer of the new trough.
Yeah,
will be
stainless
pickle
steel.
fight.
Yep.
The pickle fight pisser.
Yeah.
Pickle fight
fight.
pisser.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Nebraska Brewing Company.
Step right up.
We're not trying to make this a TikTok challenge or anything like that.
Oh my God.
It would turn into one. Somebody would bastardize it.
I heard something about a pickle fight at a trough. Wow, I think you could just use your imagination. What that is.
Yeah. I'm gonna get a cease and desist from my own parents.
From my own parents.
We want people to drink it, damn it.
It's good beer. It's good beer.
It is good beer. This is really good.
Throw a little tomato juice in it and have yourself a good.
Yeah, this is
good
like a
time.
meal.
Dude, so actually the pickle fight, use Bloody Mary mix. The spicy, I recommend tomato juice.
Yeah.
Like the spicy is already spicy enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it makes a good bloody beer.
I bet.
Heck yeah.
It's really good.
For those 11 a.m. kickoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working
Telling
on
you.
it. Calm down.
Coffee
All
stout.
right, all right.
Coffee stout.
All right.
A lot
Working
of
on
those.
it. Calm
We
down.
don't need to get in a fight here.
It's good beer though.
Do we got a good prime time beer?
That'd be cool too.
Oh, good game.
Good game. Good game.
Yeah, it's a good game.
Yeah.
Do we have
It's
any?
Oh,
of them?
I think the first
No.
time I was on, I had that.
You so it might have been called Dirty 30 then.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't remember that.
But that's a light lager.
Okay.
But yeah, dude, it's so good.
Yeah, but they
It
don't
is.
can it.
Not yet.
Not yet. Maybe
Hint.
someday.
Hint, hint.
FIO. Okay, just kind of the last baseball thing I want to talk to you about, Nick Handley, because I feel like of all the guests that we have,
The perfect guest to have for baseball.
yes, you're kind of you're wearing your Cleveland Indians hat,
Guardians.
Guardians.
Stop.
Indians hat.
Part of me just died inside.
Cleveland baseball team.
Like you've done like announcing for Nebraska baseball. Like you're the baseball guy. And I was telling Mike yesterday, we were doing a little Zoom together during the rain delay. And we said, if it wasn't for Dave Van Horn, we wouldn't be doing this right now. Like he is like the reason why we are here talking about Nebraska baseball.
Yeah,
I feel
that's right.
like.
Yeah.
Am I crazy? And I'm just going to throw this out here. And you tell me if I'm wrong. Arkansas baseball is Nebraska football in a sense. And here's where I am with that. The fan bases are cuckoo.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you watch both teams play, their little balloon knots shrivel up when the brights are light. If you know what I'm saying. I just feel like I feel kind of sorry for him because I want him to get his GED trophy.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
Should have had in 2018.
they just kind of shrivel. You know what I mean? And Nebraska football is kind of the same way. Even with the Bo Pelini, that's kind of why he got fired.
Yeah.
Even though he won the 9 games every year, it was when you're playing Wisconsin in prime time.
Right.
That's what I feel like. Yeah.
Actually, that's a good comparison when it came to the Pelini era because you would look at the win-loss record on its face and say, that's damn good. But the games that matter, because Arkansas baseball is now at a level where they need to finally get that CWS title. They've been to Omaha enough. They've
Omaha Hogs, baby.
Yes.
They're
and
here.
like we talked about, you maintain success by hosting. It's always the expectation. At the very least, you're going to host. And if for some reason you get knocked out of that top 16, you're going to be in the NCAA tournament. They've established all that. They, literally had it in 2018. Literally. Every time
Three guys had it.
Every time I see a foul ball in that area since, I'm just like, oh my gosh.
It's that meme with the war PTSD guy. And it's like,
God.
Yeah.
But that's what they're missing. And I feel like in the Pelini era, when you had at the very, again, raise the floor, but never reached that ceiling other than arguably 09, where, okay, however you feel about the Big 12 championship game, you were able to validate that with a shut piece against Arizona and Nick Foles.
Yeah.
And I think
30-0.
And I think everybody believed when Bo Pelini said after that game, Nebraska's back and we're here to stay. I think everybody believed that. Okay. And again, they were consistent, but they never got over the hump. They never got that big game. So I think from that standpoint, that's a fair comparison from that era. This most recent run of Nebraska football, Not so much.
No,
I would
not so
100%
much.
agree with you.
Yeah.
there.
What college baseball team is like Nebraska football now?
It's like
USC.
Long Island.
Hey,
I don't know.
USC. I don't know.
Yeah, that's.
I mean,
actually,
what
that's-
happened
that's-
to USC baseball?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Because it's a brand that means something.
Mhm.
So anytime they give you any inkling of doing something good, people talk about it.
Yeah.
Just like Nebraska football. If they start winning consecutive games, it gets on everyone's radar because of the brand. I think that's a good comparison. We're talking baseball, USC's baseball program, which has so many national titles.
Mhm.
You go back to legendary Rod Dato. I remember one of the first bullpens I was ever mesmerized at Rosenblatt. Where you could get up and watch someone's bullpen, like right there.
Right there.
Was Mark Pryor. Like that dude's got
pretty
like
cool.
size 15s. But I mean, yeah, that was a program that they were studs in the Gorilla Ball era too. I mean, just studs, but not so much anymore. To where they're not even getting to NCAA tournaments. They're not even getting above 500. So
Right.
yeah, I think that's a great comparison.
Yeah. Any Nebraseball stuff you guys want to add before we move on?
Tip your cap. It was a good year.
It's a good year.
It was a good year.
Yeah.
It was.
What do you do next year?
When
What do you do next year? That's the thing.
Host.
Yep, I agree.
Host.
I'm not even
Just
there
make it
yet.
regional. Just
I'm
make it
I'm
regional?
at make a regional.
and hang a banner. Is that a bare minimum? Hang a banner. Big Ten banner.
If you don't host a regional, did you have some bad luck? Did you have maybe some key injuries? Yeah, things. I think context will be very important, but I think for this program to take that next step, because they've shown now in their two most successful years under Will Bolt that they've been in the hosting conversation. It's time to host.
Be in the top 50 of the RPI at least.
Mhm.
Like when the tournaments start to, like the Big Ten tournament starts to ramp up, be in at least the top 50 of RPI. At least.
Yep, and they'll schedule that way.
Yeah,
So,
they're good. They had a great schedule this year. Freaking Oklahoma lost.
Yeah.
But just win those midweeks. Beat Creighton, please.
Before we move on from baseball, I have one really quick question. For you guys, what is more important, winning the regular season or winning the tournament? To me, it's regular
I
season.
agree. It's more the body of work.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're right.
Tournament, you can get on a heater,
Yeah. So I
Which
think
they did.
and
Yeah.
they were the definition of a heater. I mean,
they
you get demolished by Ohio State, and then you roll back in. It's
Yes.
yeah,
pretty impressive.
run rule.
Yeah.
Like Jared and I were at that game. We
didn't even care about the game after the third inning. Like we didn't even care about the game.
by like the sixth inning, we were out in the outfield just watching.
We were heckling the outfielders.
You were, which
Well, my
admittedly-
buddies were.
which admittedly
Anyway.
was very funny. But yeah, so the bounce back in the tournament, and that was great. But I think my number one, like, win the Big Ten regular season,
Mhm.
and then come in, God forbid, a 3 seed in the Big Ten tournament. Get
3
a
or better.
2 or a 1,
Yeah, 3 or better.
and then get a 3 or a 2 in a regional. And I'm gonna still call that a successful season. I'm not asking for us to go into next year and say Omaha's the goal. I think
No.
that's a crazy
I agree.
take.
I agree.
But small progress year over year will get this program to where we want it to be.
Mhm.
So I think next year the goal is win the Big Ten.
And real quickly, the 21 comparison that everybody has is look how they followed up in 22, and that was obviously a disappointment. But remember how many super seniors they lost.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they lost a
Yeah.
lot, including a stud in Cade Povich. Now they're losing a stud in Sears, but that core group, if these guys aren't hitting the transfer portal and they build around a core group that's back, you're in a much better position in 25 than you were in 22.
That's the thing too. Is pretty much after every Will Bolt year, there was never a core group really. You know, you could argue Max
It's like
and
20
Bryce
new.
last year,
It was
but
like 20 new faces.
yeah, it was like he constantly had to find guys that he liked.
Yep.
You know, whereas this year it's like seems like he likes these guys,
Yeah.
and it's a solid core to build off of.
Mhm.
As of last night at 7 p.m., we have dedicated a lot of this episode to Nebraseball. Tip our cap, but it's been football season since 7 p.m. last night. Nick Handley, I want to ask you, you look at this team, Nebraska football. When was the last time that you could legitimately say, it looks like the offensive line and the defensive lines of this team might be the strengths? When was the last time we could say that?
Say both.
Yeah,
I feel like
you
the
even agree
O-line
with that statement. Let's start there.
Yeah. Let's start with that.
I understand where you're coming from, because at the very least we can say experience, and you did see guys that have the most experience take major steps forward last year. I'm looking at you, Bryce Benhart.
Bryce Benhart, number
Bryce
54.
Benhart, we had left him for
54.
dead.
54.
Yeah, we didn't even say his name.
And
54.
and the fact that you didn't have to talk about him last year was
Right.
It was huge. Teddy Prohaska going through an offseason without any type of rehab. Like, that's great.
Yeah.
And so I'm not ready to say the strength on the offense, but I get the experience that's there, and it is on the table.
Mhm.
Defensive line, no question.
Mhm.
And the fact that it's not only your frontline guys, but you have depth there too. And maybe that's a better conversation to have about the offensive line, is that gap between the ones and twos. I go all the way back to when Mike Cavanaugh was talking about the offensive line, and someone during a random midweek presser asked him, wouldn't you like to rotate more? And he was very blunt. I'll give old short, aggressive Mike a lot of credit. He said, I'd love to if we could, but we can't. Essentially saying our twos are so far behind the ones.
Yes.
That's the one thing that I don't think, between Matt Rule, who has his hand in everything, especially when it comes to the line of scrimmage, and then also with Donovan Raiola, is being able to bring those younger guys along to match up with your most experienced guys, that you might actually have the luxury of rotating in quality guys. So from that standpoint, sure, because we know Dylan, what it will be. The running back position is a huge mystery to me. And the wide receivers, I think I'm all in.
Yeah.
But from an experience standpoint in that uniform, in this offense, I can understand why you'd say both could be the strength.
Mm-hmm.
I hope at the end of the season, we're saying that is the case, because if you have both of those going, this is going to be a good season. This is absolutely, because think about how that will impact a freshman, a talented freshman that needs that help in the development, that needs a secure offensive line and has receivers that are just able to run good routes. Fedoni doesn't have to leap out of his shoes because someone's throwing him a riser, and he has to come off of his route, and he can't turn up the field. You know, I felt bad for old 24.
Yeah.
He'd run a good route, and all of a sudden, well, where the hell's the ball going? And then someone's throwing a knuckler at him.
God.
You know? A riser, hey, it's Women's College World Series. Riser's great in that sport.
Yeah.
Not good in football.
Not great.
Not good in football.
I don't like ducks flying at my head when I'm trying to catch a.
Right. So if that turns out to be the case, I think you're going to look at an offense that not only improves, but takes a major step forward.
I will say just real quick, the fact that Matt Rule comes in here and he says that the lines are the trenches, right? The trenches.
Mm-hmm.
Got to say it like that. The trenches is like his kind of baby. And coming off of year one, it looks like there's talent, there's depth, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
It's very encouraging to where the things that Matt Rule says is not like, all right, more of this horse shit. It's
Right.
like,
Well, it was like-
it's like he's backing it up.
I mean, it was. I will say this: the like opening off season, right? They're talking about fullbacks and tight ends and the trenches and everything, and it's like, is this lip service? And like, who's the fullback this year? Like, are you just selling it to the crowd that you know that's exactly what they want to hear?
We're gonna huddle.
Yeah.
What? What?
I'm a what do you say? I'm a die on the hill or whatever or something like that.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Kyle, didn't you ask repeatedly, is this a salesman or is this genuine?
Yeah, I mean,
it's a DB.
Naturally, I'm a little skeptical after the history that we've had in the last 10, 15 years. Like somebody comes in here and they've got really good lip service and you don't actually know, you haven't seen anything. But yeah, I don't know. I think like he truly does mean the trenches are like his baby, but there are some things that were kind of fluffed in there where it's like,
hey,
are we actually going to have a fullback? Like,
Matt Rule walked the walk a little bit though. Last year, you got to think about the amount of guys that played on both those lines.
Yep.
Like they rotated guys on the offensive line, sometimes not by choice because of injuries.
Right.
But like the amount of players that played in the trenches on both sides of the ball was something we have not seen. Like
agreed.
Like,
and they played well, and they're freshmen.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
True freshmen.
Yeah.
Especially on the D line.
Well, even O-line, Evan Jenkins.
Evan
Guy's
Jenkins.
a machine. Like I still don't know how you don't start him, even though I know you brought in freaking Florida guy, Punch
Bazooka.
Bazooka. The Bazooka.
And by the way, you guys can say Cam Lenhart was a freshman last year. That dude looks like he's in his 30s.
Yeah.
He's
he's
got
way.
a wife and kids.
In a good way.
Oh, it's kind of like when you watch
saw him
Alabama
talk-
play.
Yeah.
They look like they're 45.
Yes. When I saw him talk, Wait, no, that okay. Where's Cam Lenhart?
Right.
Where's Cam? Is this a recruiting coordinator?
Yeah.
Who is this guy?
I don't need his dad.
This guy looks way older than Garrett McGuire.
Put your son on the microphone, sir.
Yeah.
We want to hear from him.
Cam Lenhart Sr., stop. Where's Junior at?
I mean, Kai Wallen.
Kai Wallen.
The defensive line.
Van
It gets me
Poppel,
excited. Van
Prince
yeah.
Will.
James Williams.
Yep. Yeah.
James Williams.
A name that we forget.
Hey.
He had like just
He had a
magic
cool
in a
game.
bottle, like
Just
3,
chasing
4
down
games.
QBs all game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's deep.
And I'm not saying the offensive line has to catch that level of play, but look at where the defensive line was successful last year, because you could have, it wasn't the quantity reps, it was the quality. And so you had guys interchanging. And so you're getting the most out of their reps, their game reps. I think we're close without the offensive line. And I think that's huge, especially with the Dylan Raiola era. Because if you want to talk about stunting someone's growth that has the talent that Dylan Raiola has, give him an absolute swinging gate of an offensive line. That will stunt his growth. Give him wide receivers that do not run routes or don't understand route concepts. That'll stunt his growth. A completely wildly inconsistent running game. That'll stunt his growth.
Not only will it stunt his growth, he'll want to leave.
Hey, Adrian, we're looking at you, pal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Adrian was dealt a shit hand.
Yeah. Look at him in the UFL now.
Yes, he absolutely was. And good on him. Good on him, because he doesn't beat that dead horse.
Nope.
But absolutely he was.
I don't know that Adrian's ever gone out to the public and been like, do you understand how like bad I had it? Like he's never come out.
It's not in his DNA.
I had a broken jaw.
Yeah.
It's insane.
And the coach called everyone idiots for even hinting at that fact.
Yeah.
Called that.
Yeah, he's tough.
Anyway. Yeah.
Probably borderline the toughest guy who's ever wore the N. It's just in my opinion.
I stand by the fact that if you have any other word to describe Adrian Martinez, dog is the only word I'll accept.
You know what?
It's the only one.
Do we even say we give Scott credit for that? Because look, day one, that was his dude. He goes on a plane from UCF, blah, blah, blah.
Takes the red eye.
He saw the A1 character in Adrian and saw this could be my quarterback for 4 years. Just all the other shit around him that we couldn't figure out. But he identified him and said, I like his character. He's got the, I don't know what you want to call it.
Moxie. Yeah.
He's got the it factor.
He did. He saw that.
I'll give that coach a little bit of credit.
That coach. Jesus.
Well, I didn't want to have to reuse
retention development.
At least if we want to. I'll give Coach Scott a little bit of credit there for Adrian's toughness, because he never did anything to help him.
Right.
So he had to be tough.
He was constantly testing his toughness.
Tough.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Adrian,
Iron sharpens iron.
Are you really tough though?
Yeah.
We're gonna find out.
You got a broken jaw? Yeah, get out there.
We're going to run Wandale Robinson out of here. We'll see how you like that.
Yeah.
Before we turn him into a running back first, then we're going to run him.
Yeah.
But no,
Retention and
I mean,
development, man.
I mean, Nick, to your point though, like you are spot on with that. Like you give Dylan Raiola his first year and there's all these hopes and stuff. And then you look at that offensive line and it's just a swinging gate and he's under pressure and he's not making the throws he can throw because he's under pressure all the time. Like, yeah, it would be a disaster.
Do you think that Dylan would even consider coming to Nebraska if his uncle didn't say that he's got someone to protect him?
I think it's a big part of it.
I think that's a big part of it.
Absolutely. And this goes to the entire coaching staff. And this is why you guys brought up is he a salesman? Is Matt Rhule a salesman? Well, obviously, every college football coach, whether you're good at your job or bad at your job, has to be a salesman to recruit. Well, the thing that I like about Matt Rhule compared to previous coaches here in Nebraska is it feels like when he's zeroing in on a recruit, he's got the 2 and 3 year plan as well. Not only the immediate future, but he's laying that out too. And so to your point, Mike, I think a big part of that recruiting pitch, and then when he all of a sudden started getting cold feet and thought about Nebraska, he remembered what he has been told by his uncle, what he was told by the head coach of what they will do to support him. And then there's that, and this is where the family connection comes in. When dad played, knowing if you're part of that breakthrough season, whether it's your freshman year, your sophomore year, whenever, you're a god.
Yeah. They'll hang your number.
Your name right next to his dad.
Right next to Trev's.
What 18-year-old doesn't want that?
Right.
What 18-year-old doesn't want that, especially when he was witnessing that as a young kid.
Right.
So I give so much credit to the coaching staff, the way that when they pursue, whether we're talking about a traditional recruit out of high school or a transfer portal, their plans are detailed and precise to where I think even ones that aren't maybe even strongly considering Nebraska walk away between the new facilities and everything that they have there, the fan love that they get, but then they hear what the coach's plan is and they think, damn, they're really into me. Like they've got me figured out. They've got a path for me, not only to be successful here, but to the next level. And I don't know if we could say that for previous coaching staffs.
I think another thing Matt Rule has done really well with his sales pitches is his realism. I feel like there are some coaches out there promising Lambos and Louis.
Do you have someone in mind when you say that?
No, actually, nobody in particular. But Matt Rule is not promising Lambos and Louis. What he's promising you is an avenue to be successful.
Yeah.
And like you said, has a plan to help you get there. And it's not like, oh, you're going to come on, you're going to get millions in NIL, and you're going to be a celebrity for 2 years.
Come on board, and if you stick around, you'll earn money.
Yeah.
But we're not going to do that right up front.
I think that's probably one of the most attractive thing to recruit or to recruits for him is the fact that he is very realistic. That you're not going to come in here and be necessarily the key player right away. I mean, Dylan Raiola, a separate scenario.
Special case.
Yeah.
Unicorn.
Well, guys, think about when you were 17, 18 years old. We did so much stupid things, but our bullshit detector was great.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when it came to adults.
Yeah.
You knew who the genuine article was. And look at the retention rate that they had from this last season. Like, all those things to me matter. It's the first time, I think, today we've used it, and I haven't used it in a long time. Culture.
Yeah.
Ooh, the C word.
The C word.
Oh, dropping the C word.
The culture topic, but also having that ability to have such a low turnover rate. That's nothing to dismiss either. So that's where I go into. It's one thing to sell a kid, but if you're doing the things behind the scenes and those kids are seeing, those young adults are seeing the plan that they first presented them with starting to take effect, why would you leave? Because then you can look at how good Nebraska football players have it when it comes to all the other things.
Yeah. I mean, the sales pitch is you've got world-class humans that are going to be coaching you. You've got world-class facilities that you're going to be practicing in and playing in. And then you've got world-class fans that are going to treat you like a god while you're here and even afterwards. And you're getting a great education. Like, all the pieces are starting to kind of come together is what you're looking at. And Dylan Raiola is only going to help that factor as far as like, hey, guess what? You're also going to come here and play with a world-class quarterback.
Right.
Like, it's only going to get better.
Speaking of your bullshit detector that, the young people have, I feel like if Ty Robinson or Nash Hutmaker went into the portal, they could go to a decent bowl-going football program.
Yeah.
But instead,
bowl going.
Bowl going.
We're not even a title contender, but a bowl goer.
Bowl going.
We're a bowl goer now.
They could easily go to a team that went to the Charmin Ultra Soft Bowl the year before. And yet they are sticking around for a team that hasn't made one in 7 years. And why is that? You would think it's because of the staff, and they have faith in the staff, and they see that there is something happening.
Yeah. They're
positive.
on the cusp. They're on the cusp.
On the cusp.
They want to be a part
of
of
a
that.
bowl.
And I'm not going to say the previous coach and staff and head coach had always said, man, we're so close, or we're ready to pop. We're ready to pop.
We just need a
We need to catch a break.
we need a break.
Yeah.
We need a break.
Like when Minnesota has the majority of their starting lineup out with COVID.
Yeah, and then they're like the worst rush defense in the country, and you just throw the ball 50 times.
But I digress.
There were some bad memories there. But
Some?
Just a
trying to think of the good
handful.
ones.
A few handfuls.
Akron was kind of cool.
Like 5 years
that was
ago.
that was a fun memory.
Akron was a highlight.
Remember that tunnel walk?
Yeah, that was cool.
Akron was an omen.
Doesn't get any better now.
That was an omen.
All right, fellas, we've got about 5 minutes left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
Thanks, Kyle.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
This is like rapid fire 5 minutes here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kyle Byers on the ones and twos telling us.
Scott Frost, Bo Pelini, Mike Riley. Got to fuck with Mario and kill him. Go.
Okay, but seriously.
Thank you for not spitting on the camera.
You got to keep Mike in the. I mean, Mike's just such a good guy.
You're gonna marry him.
You're
I'm marrying
not
Mike
killing
Riley.
Mike Riley. I tell you what. No.
I'd probably marry Mike Riley there.
I probably would too.
Yes.
Yeah.
You would be a great companion.
Yes, he would.
Yeah.
He's going to take care of you.
You're looking for a best friend in life. Mike Riley's your best friend in life.
Did he is a nice guy.
Who are you fucking who are you
Oh.
killing?
I'm
Fuck Matt
fucking
Rule.
Bo Pelini. I'm fucking
Wait,
Bo.
hold on. Wait, was it Bo and Matt, or was that the other?
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Yeah,
Who
was
are
it
all the
Matt-
coaches
was it
involved here?
Matt Rule, Bo Pelini, and Mike Riley. You got to
Mike
fuck
Riley.
one, marry one, kill one, go. No, I said Scott Frost.
Yeah, you said Scott Frost.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shit,
wait.
man,
So
we
who's
got-
out? Is Bo out?
I think Bo was never in. He said
Damn
Bo.
it.
He
Well, I'm
had
still
Bo.
fucking Bo.
Well, then,
Because he is a madman. And I need that. I need him to. Anyway.
You're looking
Yeah,
for that role in your
anyways.
life, huh? All right.
Hey,
Bo.
it's my journey.
Okay, I think the last topic would be fun. We can hit it and get it.
Get it.
Memorial Stadium, Nick Handley.
Mm.
Obviously, it's a 100-year-old stadium that's deteriorating in some areas.
Yes.
They recently announced that they have pushed back the south end zone renovation. They
Right.
will not knock it down.
Nope.
While we have Dylan Reyes slinging footballs at Nebraska.
People got to see that.
Yeah, people need to see.
Yeah,
that.
they got to see that. You can't short the fans of that.
What do you think they should do at Memorial Stadium? Do you think they should just continue to renovate, throw money into a 100-year-old stadium, make it something that it's not right now, or do you think it's something that they need to evaluate, maybe building new and starting fresh?
It's what you suggested with the former is the safe thing to do, and that's to continue to renovate it, continue to do some patchwork, do whatever you can within the structure that exists right there. If you have a daring visionist, and this is where we're still not sure about Troy Dannon here. And when it comes to the regions, when it comes to everybody that would be in the decision-making process and getting stuff like this through, I think if with other than the sellout streak that is intact, all the other traditions that have kind of gone by the wayside, I'd build new.
Where
that's fair.
would you build
love
at the
it.
current location? Would you?
No, I no, because where the hell are you going to play?
Right.
Where the hell are you going to play?
You're gonna play in Arrowhead? Like that's
Yeah. You're going to go play at Seacrest?
right.
Yeah.
Where are you going to go? So, yeah, I would. I mean, there's land over by Haymarket Park. Look, what they're trying to do in Chicago for my beloved Chicago Bears. I didn't think there was any room by the lakefront for them to build a new stadium, but they figured it out. At
Yeah.
least they think they have.
Yeah.
I got to get some approval with the old taxpayers, but
Move Northwestern too while you're at it.
yeah. Right off
Well,
Lake Michigan's beautiful.
Northwestern, aren't they playing? They're playing in a
They're-
makeshift stadium.
Yeah.
Right on the lake.
It looks like something that you would put together for a golf event.
It looks
Yeah.
like Buell
maybe at the
Stadium.
two stories. Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah. I respect their
Oh, but it's all but
willingness to just fuck it, whatever.
yeah, they're like no one shows up, and the only people that'll be here at least will be our fans.
Yeah.
How many? What's the capacity for that?
Low.
30,000, I think 13, 14
Yeah.
total.
Oh,
Not 13,000. Not
I
13,000.
You said people?
Yeah, people. 14.
Yeah. Hey, they might
All
have a
media.
chance at a sellout.
VIPs.
Some of the coaching staff.
You're gonna have your Sky Vodka section over there, and then you're gonna, it's all gonna be club. It's all gonna be club. It's just
Man.
one club stadium.
That's great.
But yeah, I think if you want to do it the way that I think your younger fans are starting to look at amenities throughout college football and the NFL, I can't see another way of doing that while keeping the 75,000 plus fans from going to one stadium to the other. Because remember, if you knock down South, what are you, 55?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
screwing over
Yeah.
almost 30,000 people, including
Right.
your student section.
Exactly.
Like, where the hell are they going to go?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you want to eventually get to that point where your younger fans and the amenities that is just now common, you'd have to build elsewhere.
And then obviously put troughs in the new stadium.
Stainless steel.
Yeah.
Stainless
that goes without saying.
So
Stainless steel, obviously.
Yes.
Obviously.
It's
It'll
funny,
talk to you. It'll tell you if your potassium level
Right.
is low or high. It'll tell you.
Drink more water.
Yeah, I'll be like,
you
that's it.
degen.
It's a little too much salt there. Yeah, you might want to have some water.
A little too much beer.
Yeah.
So-
You should not drive.
Mike.
you mentioned for the time
Drunkie.
being that the smart decision is, put money in and
It's
just
a safe,
renovate what we've
it's a
got.
safe decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have carte blanche
Mhm.
and you get to choose where that money's spent, what you're going to be renovating, what is number one for you? What is the one thing in that stadium that you would be looking at on renovating and upgrading?
As far as what I'd want to see in the new stadium, or would I just want a
in
new
Memorial right now?
Like the patchwork building on the old bones.
stadium?
Old bones.
You brought up student section. Move the damn thing.
Yeah.
Make it part of the game. Make it part of the venue. Every
the
Big
end
Ten
zones.
venue, even some of the worst Big Ten venues, you know exactly where the student sections are, and they are part of the environment.
Minnesota.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, Wisconsin, even though they don't show up till the third quarter,
Right.
It's
They get there for jump
daunting when
around.
it gets in there, right?
Yep.
Think of,
And when they
we-
sing "Build Me a Buttercup," that's pretty good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a good job of that. not just jump around.
Yeah, it's true.
Mhm.
Jared
Imagine
jumped.
Cam Randall is.
Did you?
I did not jump.
arguably-
jumped.
I did the
Okay.
little heel, whatever
he
the
jumped. He jumped.
I did.
I will
toe,
tell you,
heel raises, whatever they call it, calf raises.
It happens.
2016.
It's just- that's
2017.
Listen, I drove all the way up there. I'm gonna do something.
That song does it.
You got a
one-
spotted cow and you
Oh
jumped.
yeah.
That was the first thing we did. Stopped at a Walgreens, got a spotted cow.
Yeah.
And then he jumped.
And Nebraska was in the game.
They were.
So yeah, I was kind of in a good mood. So I did calf raises that day.
I will tell you, I went to one game at Camp Randall. It was Nebraska, Wisconsin. I jumped. It's electric. How can you not?
The visitors jump, whether it's Nebraska or Illinois.
It's cool.
The other team jumps too, so you're good.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Hey, do opposing fans do the wave at Kinnick?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's
Yes, they
cool.
do.
It's
Yes,
fine.
they do.
Hey, win in Rome,
Yeah,
as they say.
have fun.
Imagine so Colorado in prime time at night. It's like people are always going to bring up 2014 Miami, right? With the they had a blackout that day, and the big signs and everything, and that's with the student section getting kind of stiffed because
Yes.
of their placement.
Right.
Imagine if they're not there getting stiff,
Far
and
corner
they're
of the end zone.
actually. Imagine that,
Imagine if they're behind Miami's sideline,
bruh.
or
Come on.
they're occupying the entire north or south end zone.
Put him on the field. Shit.
Put them on the field on the opposing team's sideline
Yes.
too,
Right
Standing-
behind them. Standing.
They have a ground suite.
Yes.
It's the student suite, and it's It's a ground level suite. Oh my!
They're going
Could
to
you
borrow the
imagine?
bleachers from Northwestern and put them on the field.
Well, yeah, they got to do something with them.
Yeah, after they're done.
They're like, we'll rent them to you guys.
Yeah.
We have no more use for them because we have our 5,000 seat stadium opening up soon.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be good for them.
Yes, it's good for
It
Northwestern,
is, it
man.
is.
Academic school.
Oh yeah,
Um,
smart kids.
yeah, very smart. Their former head coach, not so smart. Anything else, guys?
I wanted to ask really quick, Kyle. I gotta ask, what are you fixing in Memorial Stadium? I know you got a laundry list of ideas.
One, the troughs are gone.
No,
Oh, you coward!
The troughs are
Love
gone.
it.
no.
I also think it needs to be a little bit more accessible for like they have right in one of the end zones, they have like this weird fenced off position, like this room that like basically handicapped folks and
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, can
disabled
look through
people.
the.
They
And
are
so,
lacking ADA wise.
That is where all the media and like photographers and stuff, that's where we sit. So like we're sitting in front of their view the whole time and it's just very weird. Like I feel like I'm in the way the whole time and it's just, I don't think it's very good for them. And then I would say like just the accessibility to Mike, you moved to the north end zone and
Yeah.
like getting to your seats that one day, it took like 45 minutes to get to
So,
your seats.
My particular section is like this one little speck where you can't get in any other way besides a one ramp to get over there. Now, can't complain. You know, it's actually pretty decent seats. Got the wraparound screen right there. Can't complain too much. But yeah, I do see where you're coming. It does take time. Luckily, I get in the seat nice and early. I like to get ready for the game. Like I'm actually doing something. I'm not.
Yeah.
I prepare myself to get hurt. And
Mike's
lose my
doing
voice.
stretches.
Yes.
Do the calf raises.
Always trying to get hurt and lose my voice. So
okay. Anything else?
No.
I don't want to end it. If anyone has a point they want to make,
no,
No, I think
just,
we're good.
Nick
get-
Handley, is there anything that you want to
I
talk
just want to
about?
say,
Yeah.
I just want to say thanks for having a great setup here too.
Hey,
This is-
we are
thank you.
glad
This is
you
awesome.
came back. We didn't scare you
Yeah.
off the first time,
No, I
even
had a
though,
blast.
even after all the backdoor talk that Connor had. And
Yeah,
Okay.
actually,
hold
God
on,
damn
here we
it.
go.
Normally, I prefer backdoor.
there it
Yeah.
is.
So that was
That's only
actually
one.
Yeah,
was only
You said
one.
you
That's
guys
only
had
one.
limited to 2. That was the first time I heard that.
Yeah, we,
Well, sorry, when we're talking about piss troughs and
Yeah.
shit, we kind of fulfill that.
That overshadowed it.
yeah,
We got something new to
we
work
could talk
with.
about backdoors and
Yeah.
backdoors and
and
drops.
a pickle fight.
That really scratched our itch there. Talking about that. I think that fulfilled it.
It set it up. I get it.
Okay. First of all, you guys, our listeners, our watchers, Nick Handley has a radio show every morning on 1620 The Zone
Mhm.
with Gary Sharp from 6
6 to 10.
6 to 10.
6 to 10, yeah.
Yep.
I'll be
Listen
up in
to
a
it.
few hours.
Yeah. What
There you
time,
go.
when you going to bed? When's your bedtime, Nick?
I just, especially when there's night things going on, like games going on. I've just basically surrendered to the fact I'll get 5 hours of sleep, and then a solid half hour to an hour nap after I get home is good. So usually I gotta shut her down by 10:30.
Yeah, that's not
That's
bad.
not bad.
10:30, just gotta shut her down.
Yeah. So go listen to his radio show. It's really good.
Thank you.
because of you.
Well, you got two powerhouses on it. Like last time we had you on, you were in your other gig.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, a couple months later, you're working with another. It's two alphas just running a show and just
Gary's the OG alpha.
What would Gary say?
Gary's the OG alpha. It's just
you went from literally doing your own thing to joining up forces. It's like a super team, like freaking Miami Heat type
you're
shit.
too kind, but it's
it is such a
You know what a
every
real
morning, man.
you know what a real alpha does is exactly what he just did. He's just
humble.
kind of
He's humble.
just
shifts it away.
shifts it over.
Gosh.
Did you do
It's
a
so
whole
good.
thing about like I'm taking my talents to 1620? You pull LeBron.
I didn't do the what was it? The players,
Not one,
the players
not
journal
two,
or whatever.
Not three.
Yeah, like I'm coming home because that's where I started at 1620. I started doing College World Series interning and doing a lot of grunt work and high school sports there, and it came full circle. So I could have done I'm coming home.
I think he said on a tweet.
Jordan facts that I'm back.
Yeah, no,
I'm back.
I'm not one for that.
I thought you sent out a tweet that said,
I think I said
no
home.
further questions.
I think I just said home.
Respect my decision.
Yeah, that was. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. Hey,
yeah.
You know what? We are not disappointed in the decision because, like I said, the product is.
I appreciate
the product is the product.
I appreciate that.
So
the product is a product. I love it. NBNR podcast, the same handle for every social media website: Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We're on all those websites, all those apps. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple. Just search up NBNR podcast. Subscribe, like, 5-star review. You could say bad things. Just leave a 5-star. It has to be 5 stars though.
Yeah,
Let's do that.
Mike has kids to feed.
yeah, come on.
Mike has vacations to
I
go
heard
on.
about your vacations. I don't know how.
I got vacations to pay for, guys. Come on.
You got loans to pay off.
Yeah.
Dude. Holy hell.
We're trying to get 1,000 on YouTube. It's hard to freaking do it. It's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's just, God, it's such a freaking, I'm so annoyed by that.
Gotta do something off the wall.
Yeah. you
We're
gotta
trying to
show
get
some
tattooed. We're trying to get
TNA.
Mike a
Okay.
tat.
If you show more TNA, we'd get it.
That's true.
We have offered, Nick, I don't know if you know this, that when we get to 1,000 YouTube subscribers, we're all getting MBNR tattoos.
In certain locations, did you guys agree on that? Because I feel like if you
Mike's
start putting
We
that out
agreed
there,
on the
you could-
tattoos. Don't listen to
Okay.
Mike.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike's getting a teardrop tattoo. It's just gonna have NBNR right here.
Yeah.
Silly.
It's going to look real
Real teardrop from all the vacations.
You're reformed. Okay.
It's teardrop for every vacation he takes. He's got 30 teardrops. He doesn't even have a face. Okay. Am I missing anything?
No, you're good.
I don't
Okay,
think so.
merch.
Merch, yeah.
Mike's got a hat on, like,
Sick.
bruh.
Like that, yeah.
It's sick.
Those are
Clean.
dope hats.
Yeah.
Connor's got a hat.
I
Connor's
do.
got a hat.
You have
That's
a.
sick.
You're wearing an NBNR
Yes, but
hat
this
right
is
now.
a.
It's an older
This is a
one.
Redder Face
That's
exclusive.
vintage.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's very.
It's got a lot of miles on it.
It's not even red
It's
anymore.
not red. It's black.
So that's retro. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one.
I like it.
It's like your Cleveland Indians hat.
That's simple.
It's retro.
Oh.
Guardians.
This is the City Connect, by the way. It's the City Connect.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Okay.
It's the best thing the damn new organization brand put out. So I
Hey.
had to get it.
Hey, they're
I'm not
winning games.
Not
They're
getting the
winning
damn
games.
baseball with the Thor wings on it, okay? It's
Yeah, that is kind of
the
goofy.
most lame logo I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Jeez. Thank God.
We've already had the California Angels. Why you? Anyway, like, all right. I am one of your hosts, Jared Hall.
Mike Delaware.
Kyle Byers.
Connor Cadillac.
Nick Handley.
As always, we're on football season.
We are.
Yeah.
Beat Utah in GBR.